The first half, we've got to be honest, it was quite heavy, wasn't it, theory-wise?
There was lots of new information, lots of note names flying around,
Yeah.
so easy to get confused or overloaded with information.
Well, you know, we were chatting through the break, and to me, that was a lot of information, and I was happy with the shape, but I was more worried about, I don't know the name of the fifth, for example, and should I be worried about that?
No, I don't think anyone should be worried about that. I mean, I think that's the root. You've got things the right way around. The shape is what's important, because we've been talking about shapes a lot. They give us access to the neck. We don't want that technical information to hold us up from playing, performing, and enjoying music and having fun. We can work all that stuff out. In our everyday lives, we do things we don't know what all the bits are called necessarily sometimes, but it doesn't stop us getting on with things.
Okay, and that's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We want to hear a tune. We want to get playing.
Yeah. So you got it the right way around, exactly. The shape is the key thing. That root and fifth shape, we definitely want that happening, and the fact that we can relate that to the octave shape. We can carry these things around in our pocket,
Yeah.
in our bass player's gig bag.
Also, another thing to note is if you've got the Gigajam software at home, when you're playing along with the exercise, obviously one as tricky as that, where you're doing a lot of movement and there's a lot of thought going into it, slow it down. We were doing it at 80 BPM, which is pretty quick.
Quite a lick, isn't it?
Take it down to 50, 60.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to raise. I mean, earlier on I felt the need to have no tempo at all, to not even switch on the extractor, to just get my moves down, check where the notes were, and make sure I could facilitate the change, comfortably from one to another. So you can do that first, and then, as you say, when you do switch the extractor on, you don't just have to accept its default tempo. You can set it to whatever tempo you like. The speed doesn't matter, does it? As long as you're practicing it, it's going to improve. And I usually find, if I'm working on a new piece of music or a new exercise, if I play it at a slow tempo and really nail it, it's very easy to increase the tempo later on.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, talking of increasing the tempo, let's push it on.
Yep.
What are we going to be doing this half?
The only remaining objective we've got, as I recall, is developing root and fifth. So in the first half, we did root and fifth above. So we played the root note, like the A, and then the fifth, we counted up through the alphabet and played the fifth above it, kind of in ascending order.
Okay.
And we talked about the relationship between the fifth shape and the octave shape, which we learned in the previous lesson. So when we did that on A, which was the fifth fret of the E string, the fifth fret of the fourth string.
Give us that note.
There it is. There's
A.
our A, first finger as ever on the fifth fret. When we played the fifth shape, do you remember the little sort of mini L, a half an L shape?
Two along.
Yep.
And then one up to the third string.
That's right, halfway to the octave shape.
Yeah.
We found that we counted up from A through the alphabet, and we got A, B, C, D, and E. So that's the fifth note above A, above the root note A, is E. So we've got A and E.
And that's going above, that's a higher note.
That's right. That E is higher. So, and it kind of reminded me that I know about a lower E. Of course, there it is. There's a low E, the open E
fourth string.
The fourth string is an E. So why not, let's, as we always do, get as much mileage as we can out of these exercises. So instead of just restricting myself to playing root and fifth above it, I can also, as a reasonably experienced bass player, remind myself of the fact that I can play root, which is the A, and instead of going up to the E, go down to the E, which is the open string. A, E. So I'm playing only one string at the moment. I'm playing the E string, the fourth string, the thickest string. I'm fretting the E with the first finger of my fretting hand.
That was the A.
I beg your pardon, that's the A. Thank you, Natalie.
That's all right.
And then I'm playing an open E with no fretting hand involved.
So the above and the below is always the same note,
it's the
or
same
the note letter.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we were kind of going through that in the first half, because it is important in the long term to have some facility with note naming, so you know you are. Otherwise, you might not recognise, for example, we do now because we learned about the octave shape. But if we hadn't gone through that carefully, you might not have bothered to find out that those two notes at the bottom and top of the octave have got the same note name. So it increases our knowledge of the fingerboard and just reminds us about the symmetry and the transferability of everything. So we can transfer that E from there down to there.
So what if we use this with one of our other root notes, say G, for example?
Yeah, with G, that's a good question. With a low G like that, we can, as we did before the break, easily play the fifth above G, no problem. But we're not going to be able to play a fifth below G because that would be off the range of the bass.
Ah, do you mean sort of literally dropping off the fretboard, or?
Yeah, just there's no the lowest note available to us is an E, and we know that if we count up through the alphabet from G,
yes,
when we got to the fifth it was G, A, B, C, D. So we're looking for D. We've got a D above the G fifth, but of course we haven't got a D below because we've only got an E.
Ah, I see. Okay. So are we going to find that with our other notes? Are we going to look for the aboves and belows, or look for the belows because we found the aboves?
I think you should always look for the aboves and the belows, and you'll find quite a lot of examples of people playing bass lines that utilise the fifth above and the fifth below. So that it gives you a little bit of a variety in your bass rock groove. You know?
What is it? Is it the sound they sort of gel well together? Is that why they're used?
Yeah, that's true. And also I think, you know, when you're playing a song, you don't want to be playing the same note throughout the whole song or the same couple of notes throughout the whole song. So actually playing an A, for example, and then an A above it, sorry, an E above it, which is the fifth, if you did that the whole time, it would start to sound quite samey quite quickly. Whereas if you vary, sometimes you go up and sometimes you go down, or ideally you build a bass line which incorporates all of that. It's going to just give a bit more variety, and it means it'll be less, you know, less repeated activity. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah. Okay, we can't play our fifth below G.
No.
But we can do C and D.
We can do C and D, absolutely right, yeah. There's the C, as you remember.
Yeah, that's the third fret
of the A string.
Yeah.
The second string.
Second string.
No, that's not the second string, that's the third
string. With our first finger.
There you go, we're getting confused with numbers again.
Well, I mean, there are so many numbers in this, aren't there?
Yeah, so it's very easy, and everyone should take their time, make notes, go through the material again, you know. You can also do a bit of homework with just the material, and put your bass down for a second and just make sure you can think the note names and the numbers through so you don't get confused.
I mean, we've got the diagrams in the notes as well and the videos. So
yeah.
It's all there.
So you asked about C.
Yeah.
There's our C. And a fifth above that, again, we're very comfortable. I can see you are as well.
I'm there.
Hopefully everyone who's playing along at this point will easily be able to transfer across that octave, sorry, that fifth shape, halfway to an octave. So that note, I need to work out what the name of that note is. C,
D, E, F, G.
So I know that note is a G, so when I go below the root to find the fifth below it, it's got to be a G again.
Yes.
If I end up on a note that's not a G, something's gone wrong in the process.
Okay, I think I remember where the G is.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Go ahead.
Third fret.
Yep, very good.
Bottom string.
Yep. And you could also kind of do the octave shape backwards if you like. If you remember when we, in an earlier lesson, we played the G there and then we came two up and two across to find the G. Yeah. So we used it in a sort of low to high. In some of the exercises, we played high to low. So if you do that, as you just asked me then, and found a C, and we found as the root, and we found a G as the fifth above it, you quickly realised, oh, okay, well, if I drop that down to and back to, I'm going to find a G back there. Ah. So there's C.
Okay.
There's the G, which is the fifth above it. There's C. And there's G, which is the fifth below it.
Yeah. It really, once you break it down like this and think about it, and, you know, watch the examples, it really opens up the fingerboard. I'm really understanding more so now than I think I ever have. Yeah,
you've been sitting watching me, you know, work through these lessons and playing through a lot of them with me. So your visualisation of the fingerboard is changing every time we do an exercise. You know?
Yeah, and it's going to be the same for these guys as well.
That's why we're here, isn't it? Helping people out.
Okay, let's run through again the fifth below the C.
Yes, there's the C.
Yeah.
First finger, third fret, third string.
Yeah.
And then G above it or G below it, going the other way, down onto the E string.
Oh, yeah.
So what I probably would do is one of those bass players' tips and tricks again. I probably would just pivot.
We've done that before, haven't we, in the lessons?
We've used that before, yeah, just to pivot that. So
that technique of rolling up and down.
Yeah, so it's quite economical, not wasting any energy, not moving any hands or fingers, just keeping it all there and just rocking back and forth and pivoting.
Okay, so if it's C to G there, is it D to A at the fifth?
D to A would be there. There you are. D is on the fifth fret, first finger. A, there's that shape, there's that, I keep saying that, there's that fifth shape on the way to the octave shape, that's what I mean to say. And because that's an A, I know that I can drop that A an octave, and that will be A, which is going to be the fifth below the root.
It's all opening up now, I'm seeing it, yeah.
So we've kind of got this central point, which is our root note, and we're going fifth above and fifth below, just trying to give you a visualization technique there as well, and transfer that onto here.
Terry, have we got an exercise for this?
Have we got an exercise for this?
I bet we have.
We've got an exercise for everything.
Ta-da! All right, let's put the extractor up there.
I'll just describe it because there's a tricky bar in this. The first bar is pretty straight ahead.
Yeah.
It's the root and then fifth below. As you can see, the notation clearly illustrates that. The second bar is root A and fifth above.
Okay, up to the above,
No problem there. Third bar, same as the first. It's the last bar that's tricky.
Ooh.
We get root, fifth above, and then fifth below. Thank you for pointing it out before we finally get home to the root.
It's up to you to play it.
I'm ready.
Here it goes.
Root and fifth. Root,
below,
down to fifth.
root, below, root, above, root, above, root, below, root, below.
Look
Tricky.
out.
Root, above, below, root.
Well done.
I could be a rapper.
I'm just going to practice.
Keep practicing, Terry.
Okay.
I'll keep practicing, and you keep practicing, because that's what Gig Jam is all about.